What's up, world? Uko here from Better Therapy Now. Welcome to section 2, lesson 1, the philosophy of truth seeking. In this lesson, we're going to do an exercise to separate our subjective beliefs from objective truths. And truth seeking has existed since the beginning of time. It's a lot of the reason why humans have evolved the way that they have. Plato's concept of the form suggests that objective truth exists outside of our subjective experience. And it requires effort and inquiry to arrive at. You have to put some effort into arriving at your subjective self and some effort in arriving at your objective self. And focus on the word effort because that's where you have power. And some of the core principles of truth seeking are objectivity, but I think most people automatically assume they're being objective in any given situation. So we'll put that aside. Next is open-mindedness and really commitment to being open-minded. And this requires a specific type of active listening, not the type of listening where you're kind of strategizing, but to actually listen and be willing to lose an argument, to actually hope that you lose an argument. Your commitment to truth seeking should be so strong that losing an argument is a good thing. And that's not really a belief, but a mentality to go into intellectual debates, different arguments, and seeking out information with the goal of uncovering blind spots. You should replace the assumption that you're objective with the assumption that you have blind spots because you're human. Assuming that you have blind spots will make it much easier to question assumptions and to scrutinize your own arguments. There are several methods of truth seeking, such as empirical inquiry, logical analysis, but those are very kind of high level, almost academic approaches that not everybody has the time to do or is willing to do. But a common way and an easier way to kind of engage in truth seeking is to find other individuals, preferably ones that you disagree with, and engage in conversations. And then to develop a practice of constant reflection. In this first lesson, we're going to differentiate between our subjective beliefs and objective truths. There is a role for subjective beliefs. You shouldn't make decisions or formulate your ultimate belief on anything other than your actual experiences. And experience is what kind of fills our subjective beliefs. But our beliefs and our decision making become much healthier when we have a role for objective truths, and a very important and primary role for objective truths. The beginning of the worksheet requires you to list 5 things that you believe. And if you're doing this honestly, this can be very challenging, even though it kind of seems simple at the forefront. And this is because you have unconscious beliefs. Like, what are some beliefs that are really kind of deep in your mind that you need to bring to light? If you can like kind of capture those beliefs and bring those to the front of your mind, that'll make this exercise much more useful. And then also your childhood has played a significant role in your beliefs. The religion you grew up in, your family members, friends that you were around as a child, all those things play a role in the things that you might write down or want to write down in the beginning. But it's important that you differentiate between what are the things what are the beliefs that were kind of thrust upon you versus what are the beliefs that you actually live by, which require an exploration of your actions. You want to analyze what actions are you displaying that are in line with the beliefs that you write down. And then what comes to mind next is, what beliefs do you want to believe versus what beliefs you actually believe? And you need to reflect pretty deeply to be able to answer that clearly. The beliefs that you put down can really be anything, but the more you are emotionally aroused or the more emotional connection that you have to those beliefs, the better this exercise will be for you and the more progress you'll make. But you can really say anything from people think that I'm stupid or people think I look mean to God isn't real or God doesn't matter. Then you're going to do 2 things that requires you to think. That is, where did you learn this belief from? Did somebody tell you this as a child? Is it from research? Is this from some type of coming of age journey that you did a long time ago or recently? And then what evidence do you have for this belief? Attempt to, the best that you can, apply some level of logic to it. Try to find evidence for the belief. Next, you're going to analyze the opposite view of those beliefs that you said. So for each belief, you were going to kind of say the belief and then imagine what somebody who had the exact opposite opinion or opposite way of viewing the world or whatever it is you talked about, like what would they say and what would be their arguments? What would be their attack of your belief? Any strategy becomes much more effective when you're able to imagine or put your I guess mind into the mind of the opponent. So kind of thinking of the defense and what will that defense really look like. Doing this will allow you to do two things. One, you will be able to answer the question of what evidence will be required to influence you to change your belief, which is a very important thing to be able to do. To admit that if this were true, then I wouldn't think this anymore, or my way of thinking about this topic would change. And then next, you can answer the question of, can both opinions be right at the same time? Like, can I be right and somebody else be right about the kind of like the opposite way of viewing things? Can both of those be right at the same time based on something like experience? The analysis of your beliefs will give you something that is going to be essential for developing mental strength, and that is developing a set of core values. You can't have core values until you really analyze and scrutinize your belief system and the things that you believe so that you can recognize where are you being objective, where are you being subjective, and where do you exist between those two ends of the spectrum. What you'll discover as you go through this worksheet is that in order to do this effectively, you really need to be humble. And that will be the subject of lesson 2.